Writing a book can be a huge challenge and undertaking. And I think a lot of small business owners think they've got a book inside of them, or maybe they've tried to write one and they have failed. Well, lucky for me, I have got a business owner and an author right here today. So we're going to talk all about with my lovely bride, the new book she's got coming out, what it was like to write it as a busy business owner, and how she can leverage it to continue to grow her business. Welcome to the Build Well podcast. First off, tell us, my lovely bride, what is the name of the book, and give us an overview about what it is about and who it's for.
The book is called Where Faith Meets Medicine, A Woman's Guide to Health, Hormones, and Longevity. And so I'm really excited about this because while there's wellness principles and key foundational pieces I teach to both men and women, I really wanted to target in on some things with women's health that I feel like often are not talked about or not accessible in traditional medicine, and really be authentic and tie my heart into the faith component, because I think it's very difficult to separate good health and well-being without a lot of Jesus.
So men should definitely still buy the book.
Men can buy the book and they can read all of those sections that do apply to them, and then they can give it to their spouses or mothers or daughters or whatever.
So did you just wake up one day and say, I'm going to write a book? What was the whole process like to even think about, hey, should I do this? You had something inside of you. Kind of talk us back to like what made you even want to do this?
The journey of writing it started 7 years ago almost, and it was actually before the businesses were even a thing. I felt in my spirit that I needed to write a book. And I actually wrote out an original outline. And this was before Corbin was born. This was before the businesses. This was before any of that. And I kind of started down the path, then just got kind of busy with life, having a baby, us transitioning from Miami to Tulsa, starting WellSpot Functional Medicine, and so many things that happened during that season. But I think it was my really intention was not to be, oh, I'll use this to grow the business. Mm-hmm. My heart posture was more so like, I cannot reach every person one-on-one. So is there a way I could get out a piece of quality information that would reach rooms bigger than me, that would reach audiences bigger than what I can serve just in my little clinic in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that's
so it was 7 years ago because you were just trying to help more people. Yeah. Obviously the business grew. We started two businesses in that whole process and everything. How did that shape the outline of the book, or kind of even the process, and why did it take 7 years?
Why did it take 7 years? There was a lot of life that just happened in that. I think I would pick it up and then get distracted and stop it. Honestly, from a spiritual perspective, I felt like every time I tried to sit down and really like get serious about it, just everything, like all heck would break loose, and there would be so many challenges that would immediately happen. So I felt a lot of warfare about it. And then I do think that there's this psychological challenge of like imposter syndrome that sometimes you start to go through, like, is this information needed? Do I know enough? Am I smart enough? Is anyone going to read this? And so there definitely is some mental battle to just getting through that. But it did evolve. Like if I looked at the framework that I originally wrote 7 years in the work and the framework that's there now, there's definitely some like restructuring that had to happen to make it flow and make sense. Yeah. And then there was a couple moments along the way that I was like, God dropped in my spirit, like, you need to add this in. And then it was another reworking. So there was definitely some sections like fasting in particular. The last chapter I wrote on community and connection that were actually like late add-ins.
Whenever you're looking at what the final output was versus your original draft and kind of outline, was it a reality check also of how like much you've grown in your practice?
That's
like,
true,
oh wow,
too.
I used to do it like that, and just like how much you've evolved in your thought process.
Yeah, and that was overwhelming on the hormone component in specifically. Like the information that I still use for thyroid health and adrenal health and gut health and sleep, those like supplement recommendations and lab related recommendations, a lot of that information is still the same as it was 7 years ago. But so much new data has come out in the last, 5 years on other things, especially hormone health, peptides, growth hormone, like so many things that I talk about in the book that I had to really like fine tune where I started it and make sure the information was still accurate, up to date, still the way I do things, because I've evolved as a clinician and the way I think about things is less bullet pointed with patients
Yeah.
and more holistic, integrated, like being able to stand from a 360 perspective and look at somebody's life and health and their journey versus just identifying a lab and a symptom and a prescription, understanding how it all fits together. I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So like my perspective of patients and then trying to take that clinical component and articulate it in a book format is really difficult to do.
Just from the timing standpoint, you started on it 7 years, but it didn't really take like 7 years. You
No,
weren't like
no,
writing
no. I
that full
wasn't like
time.
writing like I was building Noah's Ark for 7 years.
Yeah.
It was not
So
quite
with
that.
how did you actually start doing it, like for real? And then how did you do that with running the clinics, being a mom, a wife to this guy? Like, how did you organize it and start thinking about, like, once you actually started,
Yeah.
how long did it actually take whenever you did it for real?
So probably 15 to 18 months ago from now was like, hey, there was 40 to 45,000 words in the word bank. And I'm like, okay, this project, I'm being disobedient at this point not to complete this project. Like
Yeah.
God wants to do something. It was becoming more and more clear. So re-looking at the framework, really trying to be spiritually in tune and Holy Spirit led, and where do I need to tweak and add and modify here. And that was a little bit of a tricky process, and just trying to kind of think through how to make it flow and not feel really jumpy or really segmented and, all those factors. Does that answer that question?
Yeah. How did you?
Well, within running a business, how did I make
How did
time for
you?
that? Well,
What would what the
shout
schedule
out,
of it look like?
yeah. So a lot of people I've heard, and it was encouraged to me by a business coach at one point to just take an hour a day. But I'm one of those people that like, it almost takes me 30 minutes to 45 minutes just to get into the flow and like realize where I left off and what I need to do now. And so I preferred to just do it like one day a week. So Monday through Friday, I'm seeing patients. There's something happening at the clinic, whether it's the functional medicine side, the IV side. So that was like a no-go for me to even try to start touching the book on those days. So I would just do like every Saturday or every Sunday, still trying my best to take like a Sabbath and a full 24 hours off. But I just would make it one long day. So it was usually a 4 to 8 hour writing day on one day of the weekend to make that happen. And then as we got towards like the end and trying to fine tune, my team was so helpful. Taylor and Alyssa, like they also stayed up late or would work on the weekends and just like help me line edit and just do little things of, hey, you might think about this here and you might think about this there, and just trying to kind of help me pull it together. But it is not a easy task nor a normal thing for a working mom with 3 kids. We have a really full life, so trying to get that done, I would say, was a full family sacrifice. Like you could probably speak into that too, but you were incredible with just, hey, I got dinner and I got groceries. Like I know you need to focus on this, and I got the kids, so you can have a quiet workspace.
Yeah.
In the middle of this was club volleyball season, and so like there was Saturdays where I would write in between games because I didn't want to miss the volleyball games either. And there was other weekends you're like, hey, I got the game, so you can write today. Yeah. So it was a family effort, I think, and us all being on the same page of like, mom needs this time to get this project done, and there is an end date to it. It's not ever going to be every Saturday for years, but we're in a season of a 9-month stretch where this is what's going to have to happen.
I definitely humbly was probably pretty awesome with it.
You were pretty incredible. I did give you acknowledgement.
How did you, let's break it down very simply, because I'm interested in this. I think other people are too. The step-by-step process of like your writing. So like, I'm assuming, did you start with an outline? Did you start with a bunch of random thoughts and then you start piecing it together? Then the actual writing process, are you doing writing it in sequential order? Is there certain topics that were easier and you did it? Are you just like
This is a
word
lot of
vomiting?
questions.
Like the whole, I'm trying to give you all
Yeah.
this context. Like, what was the piecing together, start to finish process of starting to take over a decade of experience and even thinking about how to break that down into a teachable manuscript?
Yeah. So big picture outline. What's the goal of the book? How do I need to stair step people through to accomplishing what I want to accomplish with it? I cannot talk about everything. There's no way I can talk about every fine tune, little bitty nook and cranny, little odd ends and things that I even see in a day as a clinician into one book. But from the outline, breaking down chapter by chapter, what are the key points I want to make in the book? What are the key sections to that chapter in particular? And it definitely for me was not written in sequential order. The first chapter, it's called The Wake Up Call. And that chapter I did happen to write first, but I don't think any of the other chapters were written in order. And then there was definitely some 3 or 4 chapters at least that I had started. And then when I put the book aside and when I came back to it, I'm like, oh, there's some info that's changed, or I would rethink how I said that or how I did that, or now with more experience, I would like to revise that. So I did end up having to like go back and rewrite and restructure and put different sections in a different order to just try to find the flow, knowing that the entire big picture was shifting a little bit too. But for me, as far as like what chapter do you write for the day, I would kind of just do like, what do I feel like I have the bandwidth for?
Yeah.
Or, you know what, God took me on a journey with it too. Like, I feel like there was a key moment where God dropped this big, amazing revelation about fasting. And I was like, oh, I really wasn't even intending to put fasting into it. Like, I was going to talk about intermittent fasting, but I wasn't going to talk about really detailed long-term fasting. And so God just began unraveling teaching over the course of a month on fasting. And so that chapter was in that season where God was giving me that revelation. And I was studying and writing, reading and writing, trying to get that the way that I wanted it to be demonstrated. So there definitely was some of that of like, God, what are you wanting me to write about today? Or just what's in my spirit? What feels authentic and real and a natural flow for me to accomplish for the day?
And when you would break it down into these sections, would you like fully write out a chapter? Do you start with like filling in like, hey, I want to make sure I'm hitting this point in it? Were you talking out transcripts, like the actual
I'm
like,
a better
writing part?
typer than talker.
Yeah.
So I would type it. I kind of knew this, like, an example might be sleep and how do we improve sleep? So I would start with like, okay, what are the things that could be happening hormonally that are impacting people's sleep negatively?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what are some of the solutions for that? Specifically, if I didn't hit on another chapter, right? Because there are some inner things that would be interlinked. So I would think of it like, okay, I know I want to hit on these 5 supplements or 6 supplements or whatever it was. And so I might have that as a bullet point, and then I know I need to like explain all of those supplements with a little bit more context. So there's a little bit of both of that. But for me, I'm not a talker. Like, I know some people video themselves or record themselves and then have a ghostwriter help them. I wrote it. So it kind of depends on what your gift was, maybe, is how you would do that.
Did you want to write a book? Because you said that you did this because you wanted to reach more people. Did you want to make a book, or what made you write the book and not make this be like a course or like a video series or anything else like that? What made you want it to be a book?
I think there's a lost art of writing and reading. I think it's one of the most formative ways that we can grow as people is to be readers. And regardless of if someone came across my social media platform or YouTube or whatever, a book is so tangible. Like, a book can cross nations, a book can cross states. And there's so much noise in video content right now, I think. And I love it.
Except for this podcast.
There is, it's a crowded space of everybody wanting to grow this personal brand and be seen as this cool person. And I'm like, I personally don't care. I want you to have great information, and I want to give you something that, like, I wish I could tell every person, and I wish every single person I could sit across from me at my desk and I could tell them this information, but I'm literally one human and I only have so many hours in a day. So the idea of that was kind of in all of that of like, I personally love to read. My personal life has been developed both on the health side, as in spiritual growth through written word. And so I think that there's something untangible that like is unique about writing a book, and it's more difficult than creating a video.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for me to sit and talk through, even if I read the book out loud, it's 366 pages, I think they told me last week. So like, imagine the hours
Not a
of
little pamphlet.
imagine the hours of video, right? But I mean, my dream is that someone will use it in their devotional time, or they'll use it when they're on vacation, or they'll read a chapter at a time and make it as digestible and as a slow of a pace as they need it to be, without feeling like they got to be on a screen for a certain amount of time. When you're reading a book, you have to be sitting reading it. You have to be focused on it. When you're watching a video, I can be folding my laundry or whatever, and I might have heard what they said, but I might not have heard what they said. So that's why we want the book.
Well, it's so much from the business perspective too, and just like the brand, it's so much more authoritative because of all that stuff. Because anybody with a cell phone can open up a camera and
Correct,
talk.
right?
But
It's harder to write a book and to do it in a way that you're actually, as a clinician, you're pulling in research. Like, this isn't just my ideas, it has to be scientifically sound information. So there's a very few, I don't know what the percentage would be. I mean, I would say it's like 0.01% of clinicians ever write a book,
Oh, yeah.
or business owner, right?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody
Even
ever writes a
smaller than that,
book,
probably, yeah.
right? So there, I definitely hope it is that. But most importantly, is it a tangible way where anybody can spend $15 or $20, whatever the book cost is, and change their life totally be transformed by the words that they read?
Yeah. How did you go about the process? Thinking about, man, I'm a business owner. I want to write a book. I've got this way of doing things. How did you start thinking about taking the way that you do it and creating a framework about that?
Well, I think being a clinician for almost 13, 14 years now, there's a pattern. And what are the things that I find most people are challenged by or struggling with or need the information on? Like, what are the things I repetitively talk about? What are the foundational pieces that are like unique to me that I feel like has made me successful in effectively treating patients and then really seeing an impact and a change in their life? Not just what I like, what biohacking tool I like, but what's the framework that's replicatable, I can use over and
the needle
over and
movers.
over again,
Yeah.
that consistently gives me the clinical patient improvement outcome that I'm wanting. And so for any business owner, it'd probably be the same thing, right? Like, what are the things that are unique to you that only you can do, only that you're the best at inside of your niche or your space? Those are things you need to be talking about. You don't have to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
There's so many great medical books I've read that I love and I've learned so much from, but I'm not them. My story is not the same. I'm unique in how my own health journey, but also how I clinically have been successful in seeing people improve.
So you are successful. You've gotten amazing results for patients and everything. But you said you still struggled with a little bit of like the doubt and imposter syndrome. How did you work through all that, especially writing at a high level topic? Like you are having to do research and case studies and stuff to prove it. So how did you work through all of that process? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of business owners who are like, man, I want to write a book, but well, I'm not this person, so maybe I should just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I think sometimes we can easily look at like, well, I need a following for it to be important that I wrote a book, and you can get really fixated on that. And there was times where I thought that too, and it probably slowed me down. And then every time I would like pray for God just to give me what my next step was, like, I really want to be able to impact rooms of people and not just like one-on-one, because I just realize so intently that we're in an important hour spiritually in the kingdom, and that we also, like I said, it's just difficult to reach people one-on-one with my time. And I kept looking for the next thing, right? Or looking for like, God, what is it that I need to do to earn to get to do this or to do this? Or what am I missing? Or, what's the next step in my journey? And he just kept being like, well, you haven't done the last thing I told you. And so it just kept kind of getting pulled back to that book. And so for me, it became this point of like, you know what, God, I'm just going to obey, and I need you to fill in the gaps. Please come to me in my dreams. Please come to me, with your Holy Spirit. Speak to me. Let me hear the things that you want me to say in this book. What am I missing that I'm thinking in my own head, but maybe you spiritually want me to add in that might impact some people and transcend beyond what I'm even thinking with this. So that was a big piece of it. And then for me clinically, I'm like, okay, I take a step back. I have these things that I do, but what's the latest research? So I had to like pause in each chapter. And AI, Claude, like using Claude or ChatGPT was helpful in just like helping me do deep research. Google has their, what is it, Gemini or whatever that's plugged in. So it started to become easier to search for the studies that I needed to make sure that whatever advice I was giving was sound. And I tried to give as many references to scientific research as I could. There's probably 200 or 300 scientific research articles that are listed, which is also time consuming because then I don't really want to just like say this article says this. I wanted to like read the article and make sure it really says that, right? Or that was the point I needed to land. Or maybe in this article, what I was thinking I was going to say, I shouldn't say because that's not scientifically backed up. So that's probably part of the reason it was such a lengthy writing process for me, is because clinically it was really important that I gave sound science, not just a faith approach and Jesus loves you and Jesus wants you to heal and Jesus died for you and that stuff, that's all great and I want it to come across. But I also wanted to be really excellent in my skill and my craft as a clinician.
So you talked a little bit about some of the AI stuff that you used. How did you use that a little bit in this book writing process, whether it be helping with the research, helping with the editing, ideation, and stuff like that? How did you use some of those tools?
I don't know that I did it consistently. There was times where I like looked at a chapter and I'm like, does this flow? And so sometimes I would plug it in and say like, prompt it to say, can you evaluate the flow of this chapter? Is there any topics that women might want addressed that I did not address? Is there anything here that you would take out? It's not relevant. Or does this section need to be put under here? And sometimes I would ask it that specifically. Can you look at this chapter flow and give me feedback if you think this section should be in a different part of the book or a different part of the chapter? And I would use it like that to kind of help me Tetris sit where it needed to go. Yeah, clean it up. And then, like I said, the research part of it, just making the speed instead of, when I went to medical school, you had to get on certain websites, search keywords, look for the year of publication, and you had to input specific things, almost like you would go to the library and like try to find the index card or whatever that was called, if you remember that.
Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah. So almost like that, but in like these research databases. Yeah. So now it's so different, so much easier because you can just search a topic and it might spit out 10 things you should read about that topic or whatever. So that helped me a lot look at a broader picture of updated research.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the process of creating the outline, filling it in, didn't go in sequential order, kind of just had notes and you went in there and you filled it all out. Then we used some AI tools to help kind of clean up some of the research. Team was involved with reading through and looking at it. You've done all of that stuff. What does it look like to take everything you just typed and then turn it into a book, as far as like finding other people to help you do that, to get it on the Amazons and to get the physical copy to where people can give? What's that process look like? Because I know that there was some ups and downs. So kind of talk through all that roller process of what people should be looking for to take that information and make it to be an actual book.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like traditional publication companies. And generally with those, you do need a pretty large following to be able to qualify and then want to pick up your book, right? Because they're going to invest money in your book, and then and they're going to take you through that entire process. There are oftentimes, for larger following-ish people, they're probably pretty involved in like taking the idea all the way through the framework, that, you know what I'm saying, and helping you build it out.
Yeah.
And really they're paying for editing and doing all of that. I didn't have that. That process usually with traditional publishing is like 12 to 18 months, pretty minimum and standard. So I was already so far into it. I was like, you know what, I don't feel like delaying this another year makes a lot of sense. And so I went, you can do like a hybrid publishing route, you can do a self-publishing route. I explored both choices of that. And my attorney's advice was like, hey, just at this point, just you're so close to this being done, just self-publish it. Mm-hmm. And so there are some self-publishing companies and coaches that will help you put together, like helping you with the editing. I mean, you can hire all different things that you're missing. The book cover, the red line editing, like did you do your punctuation, your capitalizations right? You know, there's advice type of layers of editing, right? Where like, oh, you should have added a story here, it would have made it so much more robust or whatever. So there's different types of and layers to the editing process that you can hire out. I originally hired a person who was recommended to me, and it went really badly. Yeah. She was pretty much using all AI without getting into the details of the story. And it just began to feel very unauthentic. And I was like, this is the direction that I want this to go. And example, like AI on my book cover, and my face started to look distorted. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, what did I pay for? Like, where's the graphic designer who just takes the photo that I paid to have done and then makes it into the book cover? And so just there's been some challenges. I ended up having to part ways with her and go a different direction, and ended up to where I'm back in this place of like, I used a company who this person has done publishing 100 plus times. He knows it front and back. He will hybrid publish it, but he also has a package where they will come in and edit formatting. Yeah. I had already edited it, but he comes in and helps with the formatting component, helped me build the book cover with a proper graphic designer. He's helping get the Amazon, all of that stuff coordinated for books to be able to be ordered and printed. So all those little details that have to kind of come together. And then it's really on us to market it and to present it. I mean, he had advice on it, but it's up to us to like take it and run with it.
Yeah. I think the big thing I would want everybody to know is it's a lot harder than what people think.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's really nice when you can have a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
But I would want to, looking back, I would want to touch and see the books that person has published. If you're hiring a publishing coach or a third-party publisher that helps you self-publish, so to speak, right? Look at what they've already done, who they've already worked with. Did you like the way that book cover looked? Did you like the way that the formatting was done? Ask questions. Do they understand when you open the book that the margins and indentions on the right page are actually different than the left side of the page? And it's not the same, you know, and all those kind of little details really matter and could really make or break when you print that book, if it looks professional or if it looks like you did it or your brother did it for you.
So whenever, I don't think people know this, but you don't make millions of dollars from book sales.
No, you don't.
So
if I break even, it's going to be a blessing.
Yeah. So with that being said, from the book, from book sales, how are you thinking and seeing that how this is going to tie into your overall business, your brand, and how are you thinking from a business owner's perspective about leveraging this to do what it is you do?
Yeah, I'm going to be a unicorn in that I don't care. And it was literally an act of obedience.
Yeah.
Do I think it will benefit us? Do I think it will give authority to what we're doing as a clinic? Do I think there'll be an increased number of phone calls to the office wanting us to take them as a patient? Yes, and great. I only have so much bandwidth, but I did hire another nurse practitioner that I hope this will help her grow as well, and just the business continue to build. But that really wasn't what my intention of it was. So if that is your intention, that's totally fine. I think it's great. I think it can totally help you win with that, and it should. But don't put out a crappy book just because you want to check a box and say you wrote a book. Like, do you have something to add value to people's lives? If you don't, be quiet and support someone else's book.
Yeah.
And do a great job at whatever God gifted you at until you have enough experience where you're like, man, the way I do it, I know is different than what's been written about. And I would really love to just be able to like get out more information to more people.
Yeah. Don't just copy paste something else that you read from somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just taking someone else's ideas and trying to build upon them or tweak them, then, I mean, people will do it, but do I feel like it's the best thing? No, I feel like there's more things you could spend your time doing that are more effective.
So for any business owner, entrepreneur listening to this, they've got a story, a message, a framework inside of them they use in their business. What would be the one piece of advice that you would give to them about how to take that and then package this whole thing up into a book?
Really, like, I hope everybody listening to this, I'm assuming is a believer, because we're marketing the Build Well podcast. It's all about faith and business entrepreneurship. I would really encourage you to go at it asking the Lord to show you, because there's a million ways you could do this. And I have seen all kinds of advice of like putting up poster boards and taking sticky notes, and each section of each chapter is a sticky note, and you just tear off the sticky note when you've got it all put together, or a whiteboard system. Or now so many people are probably going to pretty exclusively start writing with AI. There's so many different opinions on all of that. I think that there's a way we can use AI, but not let it be your voice, right? And totally do it for you without you really giving the points that you need to give and that God's telling you to give and those things. But I think that's what I would just tell people. It's like, in your spirit if something you feel like when you read a tactic or an idea or a blueprint for how you should begin writing a book feels right or it doesn't. It's also, we're making it way more complicated. It could be done so many ways. I literally bought a book on how to write a book at one point. I don't know that I ever finished reading it, but I was like so in my head about what's the right way to do this that it delayed me from getting started.
Okay, that's good.
So don't delay just because you're overthinking it. It literally is precept upon precept, line upon line, just like the word says. It's really just layering in what's the framework, what's the chapters, what points do I need to make that chapters, and it's writing a section at a time. And there's no good way around it besides just spending the hours doing the hard work.
Yeah, there's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut to that. I mean, I know people will try to use AI for that, but I'm against that mentality. I think it can help you fine tune. I think it can help you where you're stuck. Like I said, I think it helped me with the research. But I do think that for a kingdom entrepreneur, I really value, and in this season think that it's so important to let the Holy Spirit breathe through whatever it is you want to do and whatever you want to write. Because the world, even if you're in the business world as a believer, there's still an impact and an authority and an excellence that glorifies God with whatever you put out. And so sometimes we under-spiritualize it. And I'm afraid we do that sometimes as entrepreneurs. That we're all about what's going to sell, and we're not like, God, what do you want me to say? What is it that you want me to speak to? What is it that's important in this season and kingdom entrepreneurships that I know and that I can add value to? Whether it ever goes to the church or it's literally written for other entrepreneurs that read it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so the book is Where Faith Meets Medicine, comes out When?
Hopefully August 28th,
Okay,
2026. We're like a few weeks out.
Okay. And then where can people go? It's going to be for sale on Amazon, stuff like that. But where's the website they can go to get more information on it, to sign up, to get notified? Pitch yourself, girl.
Okay, go to CourtneyGarner.com.
Yep.
Sean's team did an amazing job of building me the website. But you can sign up for pre-launch information. We're going to hopefully get out and get to do a couple of like launch parties. The team's planning one for here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then we'll see what happens beyond that. CourtneyGarner.com, all the information is there.
Sign up.
Sign up. Don't miss out on the launches, on all the freebies, on all the amazing things. If you go through the website, you're going to get all of it. It'll also be available on Amazon because I know everybody loves to shop on Amazon.
Yeah.
And when you get your book, there's QR codes. The QR codes will pull you back to the website for the freebies. So one way or another, you're going to land at CourtneyGarner.com.
All right, so they got a book inside of them. Go out there, make the thing happen, but be led by the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Get your story out there.